Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 2000 Ford SVT Cobra R. Now this was produced only in the year 2000, with only 300 of them being made, all of them in this coupe body style, all of which came with this performance red paint and a dark charcoal interior with Recaro bucket seats. All of them also came with the same engine, the same 6-speed manual gearbox, and yeah, they all came with several modifications over the standard car from the time, which includes a 20-gallon fuel-safe fuel cell, ball side exhausts, since the fuel cell was too big to accompany any exhaust coming out the back, 18-inch 5-spoke wheels, a large rear wing on the deck lid. It came with blacked out headlights. It emitted the fog lights in the front bumper there, so the front brakes could get more air to cool them down. Had a special hood to accommodate the rather large intake. It's got no back seats, no air conditioning, no radio, no cruise control, only manually adjustable front seats, so no electric seats there. Mechanically, it came with a hydro-mechanical lock differential, vented brake discs all round, and yeah, special shocks and springs which lowered the car by 1.5 inches in the front and 1 inch in the rear. So yeah, massive overhaul over the standard car to make this as good in terms of a sports car or muscle car as it could be from the time, to be honest. And yeah, it's easily one of my favourite modern Mustangs, certainly modern in terms of 2000 or newer. And yeah, it's got a glorious engine underneath, which as you can see has a huge intake that I was on about before. And yeah, it's a 5.4 litre naturally aspirated V8 engine producing 385 horsepower and 385 pounds-feet of torque, making this the most powerful Mustang for well over 2 decades. And yeah, the first real push towards making Mustangs a more performance-orientated brand, badge or whatever. And yeah, it's a glorious looking thing as well. I really do like the new age era of Mustangs from this period, which were only produced for a few years, but as part of the new generation of cars after the Fox body. And yeah, I really do like the look of it from front, rear and side. Just looks really rather nice all the way around, to be honest. And like I said, there's very minimal in terms of interior comforts, because yeah, you've not got radio, air conditioning or cruise control. As you can see, that's where the radio and the air conditioning should have been, and you've only really got a heater now. So yeah, very minimalistic, but all in the aid of making this car as fast as possible, not just in terms of straight line speed, but obviously in terms of handling as well. And yeah, the fact it only weighs 3,589 pounds for a Mustang is quite lightweight. Obviously it's not as lightweight as a Fox body or a one of the earliest of Mustangs, but it's quite lightweight for a car as large as this. But nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. So with that amount of horsepower and torque, it comes as no surprise that this car is gloriously quick, even with the fact that it weighs a fair bit and is only rear wheel drive. This car in terms of its acceleration is really good. But first I'll let you hear the glorious double overhead cam V8.
You have arrived at your destination.
So yeah, it's so nice to have a Mustang that is naturally aspirated, has a 6-speed manual gearbox so you can make the most of that power and have a rev limit well above 6,000 RPM. I know modern Mustangs are now in that kind of league, especially the Shelby GT350R I think it's called. But yeah, this is an originator in that regard, because before this, yeah, Mustangs with 6-speed manuals and high revs and all that lot were few and far in between, especially with the more high production models. So yeah, it's really rather nice to have a car with this level of power and a simplistic drive line going for it as well, without sacrificing speed, acceleration and handling. And in terms of acceleration, this car is gloriously quick even by today's standards, never mind 20 years ago. 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, 0 to 100 in 10.6 seconds, and it going to a top speed of 183 miles an hour. Now all of those stats are pretty damn good even by today's standards, never mind like I said 20 years ago. So yeah, this must have been a glorious machine to have experienced back in the day when yeah, Mustangs were far from as quick as this. So yeah, glorious car in terms of speed and acceleration. And like I said, it's really nice to be able to use it all with that 6-speed manual. And yeah, handling wise it's pretty good as well. Sure, it's a little bit lively, which is to be expected because it's hardly the most sophisticated underneath, even with the modifications of the standard car. Which means you get a lot of old school rear wheel drive action going. You're going to get a lot of oversteer when you really want it to, like this. But it's easy to hold it and easy to get it back under control again when you so desire or so need. And yeah, that just makes it a really fun car to drive, which when coupled with the glorious sounding engine and the fact that yeah, it's easy to drive when you're not doing that, it's a really fun car to drive. And I feel like it's really quite underrated because these kind of Mustangs from this era are kind of overlooked in a lot of ways for some good reasons, but some for not. And yeah, certainly have been overshadowed by later Mustangs, which is understandable when they have even more power and from even better sounding engines. But yeah, I just wish this got a bit more in the way of appreciation. But it's understandable why it hasn't. It's a very rare car that most haven't seen or even let alone driven. So yeah, it's understandable why so few see it as a classic as that I feel like it is. But yeah, the more people that hopefully drive it, the better, as yeah, it's a glorious car and needs to be used more, quite frankly. But yeah, still a wonderful car even in its own right, even if you just look at it out of the context of the time that it was released. But in the context of the time it was released, this yeah, was faster than BMW M5s and Mercedes and all that lot, and yet only 300 were made. And yeah, it's really rather simple in a lot of ways, but simplistic engineering can produce wonderful results, and this is a perfect example of that. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.